Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me on my struggle to make bead lamps. This is something I've done before, and as I've said, my mojo is not really there, and I was struggling quite a bit to get these lamps done. So the first ones, I don't know how well you can see, lighting was not good today, and they are black beads with gold in them, and my intent is to make these lamps. The first one is not the black beads with the gold in it, but the black ones you can see is laying there, the black beads with the gold, and they were going to be for the parents' room. Now this one is just a brown glass bead. It's kind of shaped, you probably can't tell in the video, and this is a back of an earring, or in the front of an earring. And I thought, well, gee, that makes kind of a nice little rounded lamp top, so I was really excited. So one of my first problems was using this super glue gel pen, but it's all I had. My tubes of super glue, so I thought, well, we'll use this gel pen and see how it works, and it didn't work very well. So now I just glued the button. I used just a regular eye pin or head pin, and I have a bead cap on the bottom, and then I put on the bead, and I glued the end of the eye pin into the earring, which was a mistake because the eye pins are not big enough. And this ends up being part of my struggle on these other lamps. So now I'm working on the ones that are going to go in the parents' bedrooms on their bedside tables. And these lamps turned out really cute, but oh my gosh, what a struggle. The first lamp worked really well, and the second lamp I fought with and finally got it done. So right now I'm just gluing the bead onto the bead cap and using another eye pin because the holes in these beads were not very big. And again, the super glue gel pen because I had nothing else. I should have at that point just used tacky glue and really gave it, a long time to dry, but I didn't. So now I'm just putting the eye pin through the hole of the bead, and it was very hard to see these holes because they were very small. But I really like these beads with the black and the gold. Since the bedroom for the parents is kind of a mustard yellow, I thought that would look really great. If you hear any noise in the background, Ash is grooming himself again. I guess we can say at least he's clean. So I've got that one glued on finally, and it's halfway straight, and so I decide that I'm going to go ahead and assemble the second one. I'm just doing the same thing, taking the bead cap, trying to get this glue pen to work on rounded surfaces, since you have to push down. Was not fun, and I won't do it again. I don't believe that the super glue, the pen I was using was the best super glue either, because later on in the video I had gone somewhere and bought some different super glue. Really, Ash? I'm sorry, he's like over there making all kinds of noises. Well, it was nasty here last night. We had rain, and then we had sleet where I worked, and I am so happy that my coworker let me go home early. She's amazing, and I'm working for her Thursday, so I only get one day off this coming week. But she's done so much for me. She's worked for me so many times or let me leave early that I owe her, and I am so appreciative of her. And she is my favorite coworker. And not because she lets me get up early or works for me, because she's a really super wonderful person. So I am just sitting here holding this because, as I said, I had a lot more trouble with the second lamp than the first. See, it came off the bead cap, which finally got attached to the head pin, and yeah, it's just a struggle. Mostly all I did with these two was end up with super glue all over my fingers. So I finally get it on there and I'm like, fine, I'm going to let that one sit. This one is all set up, and it was not near as bad as the other. So now I am going to attach a small bead to the top of these because I didn't want, I didn't want any of the wires showing. So I'm just attaching a small silver bead, or gold bead I think it is, to the top of these. And I probably should not have picked that one up. I know it's a little off camera. I know my fingers are in the way, and I'm sorry. But these are very small, very fiddly, and sometimes you just gotta get stuff closer or get it in a position where you can see what you're doing. So at this point I was pretty happy. I had them all glued together like I wanted them. Now it's just straightening the head pin in there. I'm like, okay, I've got it, I can go ahead. And these are just, I believe, caps off of, sorry, my computer thinks I need notifications. They're just caps off of something, and I had two of them. And so I just put some cloth around them, and then I had some tiny gold braid type stuff that I also put on there. And there's that one. It's, it's worked out great. It's set up. My shade's a little wonky, but as the glue dries, I will straighten that out. And now comes number 2. So I'm trying to get the glue on there. I'm not succeeding very well. I'm sorry I'm off camera. This one was just giving me all sorts of bits. I think I went to, yeah. You'll see I'm down. I've got it down on the table again. And trying my hardest to get it to stay together. And the bead came off. And you can see that the little bead is there. And by this time my fingers were getting really full of super glue. So finally I get the bead attached and everything else. So I'm going to do this one like I did the other. I'm going to put hot glue in the middle. And I'm going to try to get the shade to stick that way. Now I bent the top of the head pin over, and I thought that would be good. So I cut out these cardboard circles out of cereal box, and I put them on top, and I thought if I made a hole for those wires, the top of the head pin, it would all work. Well, that didn't work because I didn't have quite enough glue in there. And I wanted to put some more glue on just to make sure that when I stuck it down in, that it would stay like the other one. And when you have a glob of super glue, it takes, or hot glue, it takes a lot longer for it to set up. So That didn't work. So now you see me just going on to another one. I finally got that other lamp to stick together. Ash, please. And so now I'm using a silver bead that has a design to it, and I'm gluing it onto the bead cap, and you'll see I got a new bottle of super glue. And I'll tell you what, that worked a lot better. So I just glued the bead onto the bead cap, again using a head pin because my holes were too small for a toothpick or anything like that. So if anybody knows something besides a head pin that could be used, please let me know. Now this one I am putting on some little silver beads, and because again I didn't want the head pin to show. And I thought I was filming and wasn't. This is where I put the top on. This is the lid off of a bottled water, and I just wrapped it with some very, very thin twine, and then I braided it to go, the twine to go around the edge. See, there's my glue, my hot glue there. Anyway, that one worked pretty well. One side of the shade's a little wonky, but I'll take it at this point. And in the end of the video, I will show you the lamps that I made here, and I will show you, I think there's 3 that I just made before I did these, just to try to get it, see if it was going to go well, and they turned out better than, yeah, okay, there's my lamp. There it is, all put together, all ready to go. And yeah, you can see the bottle, the water bottle top there, but once it's standing on something, you won't see it because the braid comes up over the top. And still picking hot glue off. Yeah, so there's that one. And by this time, I was getting rather frustrated because things just weren't working. And I didn't even do these all in one day. These were done over several days. I think, well, I'll take a break, I'll come back, it'll go better. It didn't really, but I am pleased with the outcome of the lamps in the end. So these I think are the cutest. These are earrings. They were the clip-on type, and the purple on them is kind of shiny. They are not glass. They're heavy because they're solid plastic, but they are not glass. But I thought, how cute. Let's do a couple of mushroom lamps for the little girl's room. So I've got out my DAS air dry clay, and I am just at this point trying to shape a mushroom stem for each lamp that looks about right for a bedside table lamp. And I'm kind of off camera, but I'm just manipulating the clay, and then I'm checking it. These earrings, as I say, were clip-ons, and they had pretty good recessed holes in the bottom, so that there would be a good place to glue my clay up into once it's dry. And they had a lot of really old glue. It had yellowed, and I had to pick that out first because it completely filled up the indent in the earring. So I'm just kind of shaping this and trying to get it a little bigger at the bottom, a little smaller at the top. I didn't want it to end up too high, too tall, because I just wanted them to be little bedside lamps. Now I'm just checking the fit of the top to see if it's going to go in that hole. The holes were shallow, so you know it was kind of hard, and then getting anything like this to be like flat, you know, on top and bottom when the clay is still wet and you're working with it. But I really needed to make sure everything was going to fit, so I'm just messing with it again, trying to get the shape a little better, getting that bottom flat so they don't, wobble around when I go to set them down. And I'm putting the top on now, just to, of course it's going to fall off, there's no glue, and the clay's wet. In the end, these turn out really cute, but I also had a little problem with those. Just trying to flatten that base out a little bit more. Make sure I didn't bend it too much or anything. I'm pretty pleased with that one, so I'm going to go ahead and do the other one. I was getting excited because these were actually working, and so I'm just trying to mold this one to look enough like the other one that, you know, they look like a match set. And I struggled a little more with the base on this one than I did the other one. So now I'm just checking that one, see if the top is small enough, and I did off camera apply some water because I had they weren't really cracks in my clay, but they were little imperfections, so I did off camera go and smooth those out with water. And yeah, this one I'm fiddling with a lot more because I really want them to be the same size. I knew they weren't going to be exactly the same shape, but I wanted them close. So we'll let those dry. Okay, well, I'm back, and I thought, well, you know, these are mushrooms, and they would look really cute with little spots on them, like, you know. And so I am using the head of a medium ball stylus for clay, and I am just dotting it in the antique parchment paint. And this was, like, fun and relaxing, and I just kept wanting to put little dots on, but I had to stop myself because I didn't want too many. Okay, so here is the cap and there's the base. Blurred out a little bit at the bottom, narrow at the top. And I decided to, this one you're going to see twice because I don't always give up. Okay, so that was, I bought a 2-pack of the super glue, and I wanted to use the one that I had started using first. And I am using a method. I saw it first on Queen City Minis, where when you're done with your super glue, you dip it into baking soda. It will harden the end of it, and then your glue will stay open, which is a very helpful tip. So thank you to Queen City Minis. So now I'm just going to put this on there and go, yeah, this is going to hold. So I'm holding it, giving the super glue time to set up. And I also had painted the clay pieces of this with the antique parchment. So I'm just holding it on there. Sorry, my cold is looser today. And it didn't work, of course, and now my fingers are getting full of super glue. So I'll try again. Yep, that didn't work. That's where I had to peel it off, so I had to repaint because I also peeled the paint off. Okay, we're going to try this again. And I think pretty much this is the same part of the video. I did this many times. I didn't get this edited out. And so you're going to watch me go through the fail again, but it is what it is. It's a very short segment, and I did not get this edited out. So I apologize for that. So I was removing the baking soda from there, and this technique for, you know, not having your super glue stick itself shut works really well. So this is just what I had before, and I did not edit that out, so my apologies. You can watch me get super glue stuck to my fingers and peel the paint off again. Yeah. You know, I've never done this before where I haven't edited out a part and I've had the same part twice. I was getting rather frustrated at the fact that the super glue wasn't working, and when I went to edit this, I just kind of blew up the fact that I had the same thing twice, but there, so you get to see it again. Alright, so here's my mushroom stem again, and I come up with a new and much better fix for this whole deal. Back to the good old tacky glue. And I had put it on the other one already, and, or no, I hadn't. I guess I was putting it on that one. No, I had put it on. I was just showing you I put it on both. And then I'm like, we're going to put some hot glue on there to hold this till the tacky glue dries. Should have thought about it first, but I wasn't sure that the tacky glue would even stick these two different mediums together. So pop that on, hold it till the hot glue starts to dry, and there we go. Cute. Those turned out cute. They are one of my favorite lamps, you know, a pair of lamps that I've ever made. I think they turned out so cute, and for a little girl's room, they are just amazing. So just squirting a little bit of hot glue in there, and again taking the stem with the tacky glue and sticking it to the hot glue, and there we go. They are so cute. They turned out so cute. I mean, all the struggles, all the junk I went through, and I didn't even leave all my struggles with those first few lamps in the video because there was a lot, and it would have been a long video. But yes, these turned out, I think, to be my favorite ones of this particular make. So let's get on to looking at all the lamps. The lighting is bad because I had used my overhead light. There they are all together. You'll see the shade was wonky still. I had to go in and fix that again. But yeah, there they are. The little brown one on this side with the kind of mushroom top, I can see in the hallway upstairs on a table. To me, it just screams that's where it should be. I don't know where the big silver one's going to go. Maybe Grandma's house. I'm not sure. And I know the other two for the bedroom, and these are the three that I made at another time. I wanted to try a square shade. The little one in the middle is a plastic elephant that I ordered off out of Minimum World, I think. And I drilled a hole, stuck something in there to hold the shade. And the shade is just a bottle cap covered in striped fabric. And I thought that made a really